Hello, everyone, and thank you for being with us here today. My name is Aurélien, and I'm a senior developer and cloud architect at Stack Labs. I am specialized in cloud technologies with focus on Kubernetes and GCP. And today, in this short session, I'll be talking about how to securely deploy App Engine applications. So that's enough for me for now, and let's get started. Let's get started with a quick recap on what is App Engine, the basics. So App Engine is a fully managed serverless platform for shipping web applications on Google Cloud. It is one of the oldest products available on GCP, and it was a precursor in the family of container-based serverless platforms. It has built-in support for many programming languages, or you can run your custom containers to ship applications built with other technologies, so the technologies of your choice like Rust or Kotlin. So how it works. When the code is ready, you upload it with a single command. App Engine handles all the work for you, from building the application and the container to seamlessly scaling it from 0 to millions of requests. So you don't have to worry about manually adding new servers when your app becomes popular, or to handle peaks of traffic. Plus, you only pay for what you use, so that's good. Or more specifically, the automatically allocated resources. So if there is no traffic and thus no running containers to support your app, you actually pay zero. You can host different versions of your app and split traffic between them for A/B testing or incremental feature rollout. Also, it has a very simple administration panel and nice integration with cloud monitoring, cloud logging, and you can even debug your code, even in production. Finally, App Engine offers free SSL certificates on your custom domains, so that's very good. The configuration file for a simple App Engine deployment looks like this. So this is app.yaml. This is the main manifest file for any App Engine application. It's a straightforward YAML file where you can specify the runtime. So here it is Python. Then there is the configuration for the HTTP handlers. You can serve a static directory for web assets like JavaScript or CSS files, or you can specify a script. Typically, what you'll find is you will specify auto to let App Engine handle most of the work for you. And finally, you can specify extra stuff like environment variables, like in this example here, or custom rules for scaling or things like that. The full reference for app.yaml can be found in the documentation. So yeah, time for a demo. In this demo, we'll be reviewing an app. So this app is a very basic directory for an imaginary company. It contains some information about the employees, like their name, cell number, and position in the company. The app itself, despite the fact that it is not particularly beautiful, and my apologies for that in advance, presents some security issues that we're going to address. So let's start with the architecture. Okay, so this is a simple diagram that represents how the app and its dependencies are deployed on GCP. Let's start on the right side. 3 workloads are represented here as pods in a Kubernetes cluster. The pink area here represents the Kubernetes cluster, and the green boxes are the pods. So there is Mongo 0, Mongo 1, and Mongo 2. This is the MongoDB cluster that serves as a storage backend for the app. And this is where the employee's data is persisted. On the left side, there is an App Engine service that consumes the data from Mongo through an external load balancer. We can see the configuration for the app with a bunch of configuration variables. And that's pretty much it. Now let's wonder what could be changed to make the whole thing more secure. So the first thing is the IP address for Mongo, which is a public IP address. Now, this is obviously not good because anyone with access to the internet could try and directly break my storage backend. And I could change the Mongo host configuration to use another address. Let's say, for example, that one from the internal load balancer, which also exposes the MongoDB database, but only to workloads hosted in the default network, which is the blue box in the diagram. So the problem is now, how do I connect the default network and the app engine, which is executed in a completely different and isolated network? So we'll need a way to figure that out. The next thing, so that was problem one. The next thing is, the next problem is what that we want to address is, well, the unprotected configuration secrets. It is probably okay to specify the Mongo host in the app.yaml file, but for Mongo user and more specifically Mongo password, it is clearly not a good idea. For that, again, we'll need to find another more secure way to pass the configuration. So that was problem two. And then there is the question of who can access the app. By default, App Engine services are exposed to the internet through the Google front end. And most of the time, it's good because that's what user actually wants. But for this particular app, which presents private information, we need a way to authenticate properly and authorize only a targeted group of users. And finally, the final problem is, well, it would be nice if we could find a way to control which IP addresses can or cannot access the app. We'll need this feature when the time comes to protect against, let's say, DDoS attack, for example. And hopefully, this might be the easiest piece of configuration. So let's jump right into it. This is the App Engine dashboard. This is the administration panel for my App Engine application. So we can see that I have a list of services, which where I only have only one service, which is the default service, and I have only one version, which is my stable version. So what I have here is what I just presented. So if I click here, I'm redirected to an URL which is provided by App Engine, which is public, as I said, and I can directly consume my application right here. So as you can see, the very neat and sharp black line, very beautiful app, right? So here it is, and it just works. Okay, so maybe we're going to start by addressing the first issue, and that was that the app is currently configured with an external load balancer for the storage backend. So we can see that by clicking here, to review the configuration for the app. So here we're going to find basically what I just showed you in the architecture diagram. So you can see here the handlers, the HTTP handlers, the name of the service and the runtime, and the environment variables where you can find here the Mongo host. So that is what we're going to change. But first, I'm going to review with you the configuration for Mongo, which is deployed in a GKE cluster. So here I am reviewing the list of my clusters. I have one, which is main clusters, which has 3 nodes. And if I navigate through my services and ingress here in the GKE console, I can see that I have one external load balancer, which has the IP address, which is specified in the app.yaml file, which is the configuration file for my App Engine application. And I have this internal load balancer, which is only exposed to the workloads inside the VPC, the default VPC. So that's the IP that I want to use in order for my App Engine application to communicate with my securely in a private fashion with my MongoDB database. So how I'm going to do that? Here I'm going to open Cloud Shell, which is fully managed shell environment, fully configured and ready to be used on GCP. Okay, so if I click here and open my editor, I can see here the source of the currently deployed App Engine application. So here I can review the app.yaml file that I just mentioned, and here the main.py with the source code of the application. I can see here the way I can extract the configuration from the environment variables. And I can see here the requirements.txt for my dependencies. Okay, so I currently actually don't need to make any changes in the source code. I just need to replace that information here and use the IP from my internal load balancer. Okay, so it's not quite it, actually, because as I said, my App Engine service is deployed in a completely isolated, different network than my MongoDB backend storage backend. So I need a way to figure that out. I need a way for my App Engine service to be able to communicate with this private IP address. So this is what the serverless VPC access is for. Serverless VPC access is a service from Google Cloud that lets you connect your cloud functions, Cloud Run, fully managed, and App Engine standard environment to access resources in a VPC network using those resources' private IP address. So that's exactly what I need. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a new connector, giving it a name and setting the region. So this needs to be the region where the App Engine is currently deployed. So for me, this is Europe West 1. I'm choosing the network with which I want to, well, establish a connection. This is default. And here it asks me for an IP range. So I'm just gonna give it that. It has to be a range 28. And I'm gonna leave the rest of the defaults for now and click create. Okay, so while the serverless VPC access connector is being created, I'm gonna go back in my app.yaml file because this is not quite it here either, because I need to specify explicitly that for this App Engine application, I want to use the previously created connector here. So this is what I need to do. I need to specify in the app.yaml file this VPC access connector configuration block and specify the name, which is the fully reference to the connector, which contains the project ID, the region, and the name of the resource. So basically, that's all I need to do here. I'm going to address the next problem before I deploy again the service. So the next problem was, well, these configuration variables here. As I said, I need a more secure way to configure the Mongo user and Mongo password. So there happens to be a product on GCP which is made just for that, and the service, the product is called Secret Manager. It is exactly made for that. So if you ever use something like a hash called Vault, for example, it's actually kind of the same. It works the same way. Okay, so you can create here a new secret and store basically any kind of value that you want. So let's say I'm going to create a new secret here and name it Mongo user, and here just copy the value that I currently have in my app.yaml file. So here it's going to be directory. We're just going to leave the rest of the defaults here. Hit create secret. You can see that I am in the detail of my just created secret Mongo user, and it has a notion of versions. Okay, so now I only have one version of the secret. No, that's okay because I just created it, and this is really made for if you need to implement some kind of incremental rollout for your secret updates. So basically, that's made for that. For me right now, I only need one version. This is fine. So I created one secret which is named Mongo user. Now I'm going to create another one which I'm going to name Mongo password. And copy the value here, which is also directory. Okay, leave the rest of the defaults and create secret. And that's it. Now I have my two secrets, and I need a way to, well, configure my App Engine so that it can consume those secrets instead of these environment variables. Okay, so well, the first thing I want to do is just remove these lines. Okay, I don't need them anymore, but I'm going to need a way to, well, connect and make my Python code interact with the secret manager API. Okay, so that is what this client SDK is for. So I'm just going to add these dependencies, this dependency here, in my requirements.txt. This is Google Cloud Secret Manager. And once I have added this new dependency, I can import it. Like that. And I can create a new client. So this is the main object that I'm going to use in my code to interact with the Google Secret Manager. So here is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to copy these lines and paste them here and replace here the way I go and fetch environment variables. I now need this instead. So, okay, so I have a function here which makes use of my clients, which is instantiated just here. And well, basically what it does, it's going to use the access secret version method on my client and provide it with a name. The name is the fully reference to the secret version. So in this case, I need to specify the GCP project ID, secret ID, which is, for example, Mongo password, and the version ID, which in this case is going to be 1 because, as I said, I only have just one version. So once I get a response, I can decode the response payload and, well, just use it as a string in my code, just like I used the result of os.getAnv earlier. So here it is. Now I can fetch my Mongo user and Mongo password just like that, using my function here, defined here. And as you can see, I'm going to need a new environment variable. Here is GCP project ID. I'm going to add it right here. So in my case, it's going to be the name of the project, the ID, of the project, which is available in the URL here. Okay, so there is one last thing that I need to make sure of before I can deploy again the application. And that is, I need to make sure that the Google service account, which is associated to my App Engine workloads, actually has the permissions to go and consume the secrets, the values for the secrets here. So here is how. So I need to navigate in the left side menu here and go fetch the name, the address for my App Engine default service account. So this is here in service accounts. I'm going to filter here the table and hit only to fetch only the App Engine default service account. This is the one I'm interested in. I'm going to fetch here and copy, well, the email for that service account. Then I'm going to navigate in the same menu here on the left to IAM and verify the permissions or the roles for this service account. So I can see here that it only has one role, which is editor. But okay, so here I need to add another role because editor is not enough. Editor doesn't have the permission doesn't allow a service account to consume secret from secret manager. So I need to edit here and add another role, which is going to be secret manager secret access. So this is the one because it allows it gives the required permissions to allow accessing the payload of the secrets, right? So this is the one I need. I'm gonna add the role, and here I'm all set. Now I'm gonna go back to App Engine and maybe present the list of all the versions that I have. And I'm going to open a terminal, navigate to Advanced App Engine Demo, and here's the folder I was working in. Okay, so I'm going to hit a new command and deploy a new version. So gcloud app deploy, this is the one command that I was talking about earlier. So gcloud app deploy, I need to specify the path to the directory that hosts the app.yaml file. So this is the current directory. So just dot, and I'm going to give a version name. So version, I think I'm going to name the version Canary, and I'm going to set another command flag here. So no promote, and hit OK. I need to authorize Cloud Shell to run this command. And here I'm good to go. I want to continue and deploy this new version. So while it's deploying, we can review the command output. So as you can see here, it has found the descriptor for the deployment. So this is the path, the complete path to my app.yaml manifest file. And it also has the source, which are going to be deployed. So as you can see, this is the directory that is used as a base to discover which files need to be uploaded on App Engine. So in this case, it has 0 files to upload because I already did this before. So it can use, online cache, so it doesn't have to, upload these assets again. So the target project is Sandbox ABA, so we are good to go here. This is the one. And the target version is Canary, which is the one that I specified here. And you can see here it provides me with target URL. As you can see, the target URL contains the canary dot, which is the name of the version. And this is why is that? And it's there's a simple reason for that. It's because I used the no promote command flag here. I did that because by default, when you deploy a new version of your app on App Engine, well, what happens? It's going to reroute all the traffic on your application to this newly deployed version, and that is not what I want here, because first I want to make sure that the new version, the new deployed version, actually works and it works properly, and only then I want to migrate my traffic to this new Canary version. So this is what App Engine is great for, because it's going to provide me a live URL that only me, because I know the URL, can browse. And when it's good enough for me, then I can switch my traffic on this new version. And this is done completely seamlessly for my users. So I'm going to hit refresh here, and I see that I have a new version Canary with 0% of my traffic, which is serving 0% of my traffic. But I can use the URL provided here, or I can just click here on Canary and go and see the behavior of my application. So if everything was well, okay, so here I have my same application serving exactly the same code, exactly the same code, but configured differently. And I can review the config here again. I can see that I no longer have the environment variables for Mongo user, Mongo password, and I can see that the Mongo host is using my internal load balancer. This is good. This is what I wanted, and it's just as simple as that. Okay, so now that I seem to be good to go, I can eventually decide to migrate some portion of my traffic on this new version. So if I want to do that, I just need to click here and select the Canary version and click here and migrate traffic. No, not migrate traffic. I just want to do it incrementally. So I'm going to hit here the split traffic button instead and choose to send maybe, let's say, 20% of my traffic on this new version. And if it's good, I'm going to send a more significant portion of my traffic on this new version later. For now, 20% is good. Okay. And that's it. So the third problem that we wanted to solve is, well, currently anybody can access the application. So if I want to restrict that and implement a more aggressive security policy, I can just navigate here to the firewall rules menu and review the default configuration. So I see that in default setup, anyone with any IP address in any IP range is allowed to access my default App Engine service. So I want to change that and edit this default policy, and here change the action to deny. So if I click here and select deny, and I save the configuration, I can see that I can no longer access my application. Okay, it's forbidden. If I want to maybe configure the application in a way so that only me with my current public IP address can access the app, then maybe I can first go fetch my IP. So it's going to be this one, and add a new rule here with a higher priority. So maybe let's say that, and going to click allow. The IP range that I'm going to configure here is my current IP address. So this is the one that I need. So just my IP address, and I'm going to click save here. Okay, so now I have the default policy, which is denied for all IP address, with a single exception for my IP address. So in the real life, maybe that would be the IP address for my company, maybe. So I'm going to refresh that button here, and yeah, now I can access my app again. But just for me, if you try on your side, you might not be able to consume this URL here. Okay, so that was the third problem that we wanted to solve. And the last one was, well, as I said, for maybe the vast majority of App Engine applications out there, it's just fine to expose a single URL and broadcast it on the internet. But in this case, I see that this particular application has some sensitive values. So maybe I don't want the whole world to be aware of the phone numbers of my employees or their email address. So I need a way to make sure that anyone that accesses this application is properly authenticated and authorized to access this information. So for that, there is a product available in GCP, which allows me to implement that kind of policy without any modification in the code. So I'm going to find that product in the left side menu here and navigate through security and find here the identity-aware proxy. Okay, so identity-aware proxy let me review the whole list of all HTTPS resources available in my current project. So in this case, it's just my App Engine app here. And the only thing I need to do actually is to enable here the IAP button. So if I click here, I'm going to turn on the identity-aware proxy for this App Engine application. And it's going to take a few minutes here. Yeah, okay. And just like that, without any further modification in the code, I can refresh here, and I'm going to need to authenticate now to well, access the application. So here, my request was catched by the Google front end, and because identity-aware proxy was enabled on this particular App Engine application, I'm no longer allowed to access it well, without being authenticated. So now I'm authenticated, but there is a second problem that is I'm not currently allowed and authorized to access the data. So for that, I need to configure the identities that are allowed to access this particular application. So for that, I'm going to review the information in the right side panel here. So this is the complete list of identities that are allowed to make modifications to the configuration. Here, what I want to do is add a new member, maybe with this email address, and give it a role, which will be called IAP IAP secured web app user, which is the role that I need to have to have the proper permissions to access HTTPS resources, which use identity-aware proxy as a proxy for authentication and authorization. So I'm going to add this role. And just like that, after a few minutes that are needed for the configuration to be properly propagated in the Google front-end configuration, I'm going to regain access to the application. And for now, it's just using the cache, so I'll need to wait a few more minutes to see this change of configuration to take effect. So gonna wait a few more here. So as you can see, it's very simple. I don't need to make any change in the code of my application. It's just that simple. Just configure and enable identity-aware proxy on your App Engine application. You can do the same with other HTTPS resources. Maybe you'll have some, I don't know, HTTP ingress configured on the GKE cluster, something like that. You can enable identity-aware proxy on those resources as well. This is actually one of my favorite products on GCP because it requires no change in the code. It's just that easy to use. So maybe now configuration is propagated properly and I have access to my application again. So that's it. That's all I had to share with you today. Thank you all for coming. If you have any questions, please get back to me. I'll be more than happy to discuss any topics related to App Engine or any topics related to GCP and Kubernetes. Thank you all for coming again, and goodbye.